Hello, Zachary. Thank you for coming. This is our meetup code for you. And let's say something about improving. Thank you, improving. They gave us this meeting room, the space for meetups. They are very good. They gave us pizzas. What is sodas? Thank you very much. And they have many groups. Go and see other groups because you will learn something.
Yeah, and this improving meetup we hold it every month, as well as two other locations. One is downtown at the Ion, which used to be the Sears building, and then one in Spring, Texas. That's at the Spark Suite, and that's on Tuesday. So over there they have different kind of, they have Taco Tuesday, and over there at Ion they have different kinds of food. If you're, and the next week we have a different presentation called how to start your own application within 1 year. And the lady that's going to be presenting is Tamara P. And hopefully y'all can come to that too. It's going to be downtown if it's more convenient for you. Today it's our friend Zachary. He's originally from the Woodlands, Texas area. And he's been teaching he's been teaching English in Japan for over 6 or 7 years. And then recently he had to let that career go and then pursue a different career, and that is software engineering. And let's give a welcome to Zach online.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, sound clear.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, as Chen said, I'm from the general Houston area. I grew up over by the NASA Space Center, but then we moved around a lot. So yeah, we ended up in the Woodlands and kind of Spring area. But yeah, I've actually been in Japan for almost 8 years now. It'll be 8 years this month. Like the end of this month will be 8 years. I want to tell you a little bit about how I got over into Japan, how I started getting into software engineering and web development, and talk about the tech industry in Japan because I think it's a really good place to get into tech right now. So let's go ahead and go to the first slide here. The company I'm working for, it's called Fundasta, and I'll show you the website later. But we are now at 12 employees. So it's a very small company, and we are all engineers. We don't have any like accounting people or sales or anything, just all engineers. And this is a big thing about the company. I think only one of the guys has a 4-year degree in computer science. Like some of us have 4-year degrees in other things like psychology, and I have economics, but I'm pretty sure only one of the guys actually did a 4-year degree in computer science. And we have people from various backgrounds, like we have a couple of guys who were just straight out of high school and they went into a coding boot camp, and they had like no other kind of experience other than just, graduating from high school and doing a coding boot camp. That's kind of the thing. It's not necessary to have a degree. The guy who is the CEO and founder of the company, he's also a developer. He's working with us every day. So he's a really cool guy to work for. The company's really nice. And we're just all collaborating on projects every day. Let's see. Next, let me see if I can open up the link on here. I will pull this web page over to this screen. Okay. Yeah, just to show you real quick, this is the company web page. This is the office space that I have never been to because, almost everyone in the company is fully remote. And very few people actually go into the office space. I don't know if any of you guys can read Japanese or not. Is anyone over there studying Japanese?
I think 2 people out there. Well, 2 people out there, that's up.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can see. All right. Yeah, so the company is in a different city. It's in Nagoya. It's about I mean, I've never been there, but I've looked it up on Google Maps, so it would take me about 3 or 4 hours to get over there. And
Wow.
people are just kind of scattered all around the country. The owner and maybe like 2 other guys are actually in Nagoya, but most of us are fully remote from like other parts of the country. And this is the building that it's in. Of course, we like this is not our building. Like we have an office space up here, like on the I think it's the 21st floor. We have office space, but I wanted to show you this website actually because this is going to tie into something I'm going to talk about in a little bit, and that is the designs, kind of like the quality of many websites over here in Japan are kind of strange. Everyone thinks of Japan as being like very high tech, and they are in some regards, but at the same time they're also using a lot of very old, outdated technology. And I think this website, I mean, it's not horrible, but I think this website is kind of an example of that because, well, there's this weird search thing that comes up here. I mean, maybe some people thinks this looks good, but I don't know. You'll see kind of some strange things on websites over here, like this giant button here. Like, what is this? So, yeah, this isn't a horrible website, I guess, but I've seen a lot worse. But yeah, that'll tie into something I'm going to talk about a little later with a real need for developers and stuff like that. Let's see. Okay, so just a little bit about my background in education, because I want to show people that anyone can get into tech if you just put the time and effort into it. So I was a guitar teacher originally in Texas. Yeah, I worked as a guitar teacher. I was selling just random stuff on eBay to make extra money, like Pokemon cards and whatnot. Did a 2-year degree in music at Lone Star College. I wasn't doing anything with tech. I wasn't doing anything, related to math or science or anything. So after I did this 2-year degree in music, yeah, I quit school for 1 semester, and then I spent a whole nother year just taking Japanese language classes because really I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. And then I went to the Houston Japan Festival, and that is when I found out about the English teaching jobs. I found out if you have a 4-year degree in anything, you can go to like Japan, China, Korea, other places, and you can teach English and have a good time. So it looked pretty cool. So that's when I decided to go to Sam Houston State University to finish up a 4-year degree. Throughout this whole time, some of my friends were studying like engineering, and so through this whole time, especially my friend Fred, I think Chen knows him. Well, yeah, definitely Chen knows him, but yeah, those guys were telling me this whole time, like, get into software engineering, but I always thought it wasn't for me. I don't know. I think that word engineering can be scary for people because it was for me. Like, when I heard the word engineering, I just thought, nah, that's not for me. Like, I'm not good at math. I'm not really good at science. I can't do that. So it really delayed me getting into tech. But I ended up adding on a mathematics minor, kind of under the pressure of my software engineering friends, like my friend Fred. And I thought, well, you know what? Math will help me with economics, so why not? I'll just go ahead and go through it. And he kept telling me, okay, just take the math classes. He really kept pushing me to do the intro to programming class, but I didn't do it for a long time. I never got into it until way later. I did a study abroad in Japan, and then the next year I did one in China. And that's when I really decided I want to move, like for sure. I was like, okay, I'm definitely moving to Japan. But the problem is there was no plan. So it's like, yeah, you can go and teach English in Asia and have a nice little working holiday for a year or two. Some people stay longer, but then it's like, what are you going to do after that? What is your career going to be? Because those kind of jobs are not set up to be a career. This is just a picture. Yeah, so I moved to Japan in 2016. And I'll go back. This is a little picture one of the schools made for me. They put the little Texas thing on there. Yeah. So I had a great time. I was teaching English in the elementary schools here in Japan, and it was a really fun job, and it was a great experience. But as you can see, a few years later, I realized, hey, this isn't a career. Like I got to do something if I'm ever gonna start a family and try to have a house and stuff. You can't do that on an English teaching salary over in Asia. I put this little point here because 2018 I went back to visit Texas, and I actually went to work with Chen. He let me tag along to his work day. I don't remember what company that was, but it was pretty early in his career, and I sat at an empty desk at his job while he was programming all day, and I think that really kind of planted the seed in my head. It was like, wow, this is pretty cool. The work environment is really chill. Just working on the computers all day. Didn't seem like a lot of stress, but who knows, when deadlines hit, I'm sure it could be stressful. So anyway, yeah, fast forward to 2021, and all kinds of things happened in my life, and Chen and that other friend I told you about, Fred, they told me, okay, just try out some lessons on Free Code Camp, see if you like it. So finally I wrote my first line of code here in August 2021, and I'm just gonna open up my Free Code Camp. Is anyone over there using Free Code Camp? Do any of you guys use Free Code Camp? Yeah. Cool.
Okay, this group is okay, Kristen. Yes.
Yes, we started as record. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love Free Code Camp. I went a long way with it. I'll go back to the very beginning. Yeah, August 17th, 2021 is when I started, and that's when Chen and my other friend, I was on a video call with the two of them, and I was just looking at their lives. Like, they were working, I think at that time they were working at the same company, and maybe roommates too at that same time, and just their lives looked really great and amazing, and I was like working really hard as a teacher and not getting any money and just stressed out all the time. And so yeah, that day you can see 73 points here. I don't know if you can see that, but that means I did 73 lessons on Free Code Camp. I started
In one day?
Yeah, in one day. Like Chen and that other guy Fred, they told me just to try it out, and yeah, I got in there into the HTML and CSS, and I just spent all day, like I'd never written a line of code, but I just spent all day doing all those lessons, and continued the next day, 38 lessons the next day. But then after that, I couldn't really keep up that pace, but I stayed pretty consistent with it for a while. But yeah, I went hard in the code on Free Code Camp, definitely, from the very beginning. So yeah, just a couple of months later, I decided I couldn't continue with the job I was doing. I had moved up. I was the head teacher of a like brand new language school startup, and I was working overtime, and it was really hard to find time to study on top of all of the work I was doing. So I quit that job, And that was the last time I did a full-time job until recently when I got this software engineering job. So after that, I only took kind of part-time jobs that gave me just enough money to survive, but gave me plenty of time to like study and that kind of stuff. I guess, yeah, I took a job in a different city. Like I got up and moved to another city and got a job where I was working only 32 hours a week so that I could continue studying as hard as I wanted to. But really, the thing that really got me, that really made me quit this job, the head teacher job, is the raise. Like, at this time, my contract was ending anyway, and they offered me a new contract with, like, they said they were going to give me a pay raise, and, you know, I basically helped start that school, and I had spent so much time studying Japanese language, I passed the highest level, the JLPT N1, and I did an English teaching certification. You know, I was trying to improve my career as an English teacher, and when this contract was expiring, the pay package they offered me was a pay increase of $100 a month. And that was when I was just like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm finished with this stuff. I'm just going to go all into the coding. There's nothing left in the English teaching industry for me. Like, it was fun while it lasted, you know. The first few years were great. It was really fun. But eventually, you got to do something else. So, yeah, they gave me a $50 a month raise for my 10 years of studying the Japanese language and a $50 a month raise for my English teaching certification. And that's when I knew it's time to get out of that industry because you're never going to go anywhere financially. So anyway, spring 2020, I finally did the programming fundamentals. I was obviously still in Japan, but I did the class online through Lone Star College, just like my friend Fred was pushing me to do for so many years. I finally did it. And I mean, at that time, I was still considering going back to school. Like, I was thinking I was going to copy what Chen did, you know, like do the foundations and then go do a master's in CS. I was still considering that at that point. I mention this because, yeah, Chen and that other guy, I'm not going to lie, they basically held my hand through this class. Like, I would do my coursework through the week, and then every weekend, either Chen or that other guy, Fred, would meet with me on the weekend and, you know, answer any questions I had, help me solve problems. So that's one thing I want to say. If you guys are still studying, it's really important to have a mentor, and maybe even more than one. I mean, I had 2 or 3 professional software engineers who were like kind of coaching me regularly, and Chen was one of those guys, and I'm super thankful for them because, yeah, I don't know if I would have been able to make it through by myself without those guys, you know, at least, you know, helping me stay motivated. In June, I joined a self-paced boot camp called Freemote, and the reason I did that is because it was focusing on freelancing, and their methodology is they teach you the basics of web development and Shopify development, like getting into e-commerce, and they want you to start freelancing as soon as possible. And that's actually a really good idea because when I was applying to jobs, one company gave me some really good feedback. Like, they didn't give me a job interview, but the feedback they gave me was, I need real projects on my portfolio. Like, they looked at my portfolio at that time, back around this time, 2022, and you know, they said, hey, your projects look cool and everything, but they're not real work. So they didn't tell me how to get the real work, but the only thing I can think of is to do freelancing, because if you can't get hired to do a full-time job, that's really the only other option is freelancing. And so I did do that. And yeah, even if you have to do it for free, like the first freelance project I did it for free. I built a homepage for a business in my local area, didn't charge them any money, just to get that on my portfolio, that it's like a real website that's up on the internet and is being used by a real business that, you know, isn't my family or anything. It's just a random business I contacted. Then I got a job teaching at the YMCA, and they gave me the opportunity to teach a web development course to 5th and 6th graders. And I did that after this little 6-month period. You see on the timeline, there's about 6 months where I was running my own Shopify store after I learned the Shopify development from this kind of boot camp thing, which I haven't finished, by the way. I never finished the boot camp. I'm still working on it, but I made the Shopify store because instead of making like a practice store, I wanted to make a live store. And obviously, you know, I said I was selling stuff on eBay, so I was always interested in having my own e-commerce store. So there was about a 6-month period in this whole time frame where I didn't do any coding. Like, I was only focusing on this Shopify stuff. But that changed when I taught the web development course at the YMCA over here in Japan, and that was when I really, I had a renewed motivation, because I was kind of losing motivation at that point, like feeling like I would never find a job or like never get my skills up to where they need to be. But I helped those kids get their first websites up onto the internet, and they were super excited. And it was like a spring break kind of boot camp for kids. So we were coding all day, and that was my job for that 1 week, was just helping them build websites all day. And that was when I really found out that, this is what I want to do. I want to work on web development all day. I want to work on a team and build cool stuff. And so that kind of renewed my motivation for it. Then I got fired from the job, and I think it was just meant to be, because at that time I started studying full time. I just really jumped back into the coding and working on building projects. And then that is when I was unemployed. After a couple of months of being unemployed and just studying full time is when I interviewed for my job that I have now, and then they offered me the job. They gave me the job offer, but to start 2 months later, because they were busy onboarding some other new people at that time. But I started the job last year in October, so that means I'm roughly 5 months into my new career as a junior software engineer.
Valid.
But did we have a question?
No, not you. People are sharing.
And this is one of the kids from the YMCA class, with his little homepage that he made. And I wanted to get them to make their own GitHub accounts, but just because they're kids, it was kind of difficult with their emails. So we just put their pages on my GitHub profile, and but we actually hosted it using the GitHub pages. So they got a link to their homepage that they can share with anyone, and it's still being hosted to this day on my GitHub. So that was really exciting for them. They got their first website out onto the internet, and it was fun for me too, and got me more motivated for me to improve my skills. What I use at my job, according to this guy, we only use God tier technology. because we're using React and TypeScript, Next.js, that kind of stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this guy. He's a YouTuber. I can't pronounce his name. I'm not going to try. But he's famous for getting into Google after like 6 months of coding or something. Material UI, we use that a lot for the styling. That way we don't have to, it's just a big library of pre-constructed buttons and stuff. Yeah, and then these are the standard things we use at most jobs. I think stuff like GitHub, Notion and Jira are used to kind of keep track of the tasks. And then communication is Discord and Slack. Because the company is basically fully remote, everyone is remote, this Discord room that we're in kind of acts as our virtual office. So we're all in the Discord together, and just if you have a question, you unmute yourself and try talking to someone, and then we can move off into different like voice channels to work on different things. So yeah, GitHub is really important. That's just, I mean, you're gonna use that at every job. Okay, so why is Japan a good place to get into the tech industry? That is a big thing I want to talk about. Outdated websites and systems. So yeah, I mean, again, like people think of Japan as being like super tech, and they are for some advanced technology, but the average people and average businesses are using really outdated technology. But that's an opportunity for us because it means it's really easy to get jobs. Like the biggest job that my company is doing right now, it's a big like 3-year project. It's moving this huge outdated business system over to more modern technologies, and that's basically making our company. That's why we're able to hire new people and we're growing, just because of that one huge project. So there's a lot of opportunity with that. Yeah, so it's kind of a paradise for freelancers. I can just, if you Google a random search term like a cafe or a dental office, you will find just a whole list of businesses that they don't have a website. Probably they don't have social media. Maybe they have like a Instagram. A lot of businesses in Japan are using some kind of weird blog thing that just looks horrible. So it's really easy to go to a business and propose an idea to give them a nice modern website. And this is something I saw in a YouTube video that really summed up what's going on in Japan. It said Japan has been living in the year 2010 since the 1980s. And I think that's very true. That perfectly sums up. They were way ahead of their time, but something weird happened. I mean, they had, their whatever bubble, I don't know, stock market bubble, real estate bubble. They had all kinds of bubbles that popped in the 1980s, and they haven't really recovered from it. But yeah, a lot of places are using old technology. I mean, so many offices still use fax machines. Like, they're using fax machines over here, you guys. So there's a lot of room to propose using new technologies and make a lot of money off of it. And the other thing is, there's not enough Japanese people to do the jobs. They have an aging and declining population. So I'll show you just a few charts and graphs here. This stops at the year 2018, but these trends are continuing. There are more deaths than there are births. Just like births are going down, deaths are going up. More and more people are getting older. Marriages are going down. Less people are getting married and having kids. So there are just not enough Japanese people to do the jobs. Not only in tech, but really in any industry, but especially tech. So 1 in 4 people are age 65 and over. 1 in 10 are 80 years old and over. That's pretty crazy. There are not enough young people to do the jobs. Not enough young Japanese people. So that's an opportunity for us if you can get over to Japan, or if you can work remotely with a Japanese company that's willing to deal with overseas people. Huge opportunities there. So we have this kind of thing going on. Sorry for this being blurry. I couldn't get a better picture, but the bigger companies over here, especially Rakuten. Rakuten is it's basically like the Amazon of Japan. And over 10 years ago, they decided to make their company all English. Like, everything is going to be done in English. And then after that, some companies are starting to follow that. Once one big company takes a step forward, then a lot of the other companies are going to follow after it. So if you look at a lot of forward-thinking tech companies here in Japan, maybe not their whole company, but just the IT or the development department, it will be English language only, because they don't have enough Japanese developers. So they're bringing in people from anywhere. As long as they speak English and they have the skills, they're just bringing everyone over here because there's a big shortage. Sorry, I went back. Yeah, resources for you. I put this picture on here because I watched this TV show Silicon Valley before I ever started coding, and I don't know how. Silicon Valley. What?
Is it good?
Oh,
Yes, it's good.
yeah, I loved it before I knew anything about software engineering. I'll have to rewatch it now to see how I feel about it. But yeah, I loved it a few years ago when I watched it. And yeah, definitely. It seemed, I don't know, it got me excited. It made me want to become a software engineer, and now here I am. So yeah, I think it's a good show to watch. Okay, so yeah, if you're interested in getting into tech in Japan, these are a few websites. If you have tech skills, these are kind of like the top tech companies that are accepting foreigners who have no Japanese language skills. And then over here are just general, these are just general websites specifically for foreigners, but not so much for tech. There are some tech jobs on here, but like if you go to this Japan Dev website, so right now they have 167 jobs, and a lot of them you can see English is okay. A lot of them don't require Japanese. Some of them are remote. You can apply from overseas for a lot of the jobs, no Japanese. But again, these are like the top companies, so you need some good skills. You need at least a few years or more of work experience if you're going to get one of these jobs. Yeah, these are the websites for finding jobs. This is the website I used when I interviewed for my job. It's kind of like the Japanese version of Code Wars, basically. Like they have coding challenges that are different ranks. D is the easiest, and then S is like impossible. I can't do it. But if you just click on one of these rankings, they'll have these whole lists of problems. I don't think I'm logged in. Yeah, so these are the coding challenges I used to get my job. They told me if I could solve one of these B rank problems and send them the source code, they would give me an interview. And yeah, I asked Chin to help me with it, and we we worked on it a little bit, and but actually we couldn't solve it the first time we went at it, and I worked on it for a few days, and I finally I solved it. Did it? Yeah, 2 or 3 days it took me to solve one of these. They're pretty hard, but yeah. So they gave me the interview, and then they asked me to try solving one of these live. And of course, I can't. It took me 2 or 3 days to solve it, so it was impossible to do in 30 minutes. But I think with a lot of coding challenges in the interviews, it's not so much about you solving it right there. I mean, of course, if you can, then hey, that's a big plus for you. But mainly, they're looking for your problem solving skills, and if you can Google your way out of a problem. Uh, so yeah, they just want to see how you work through a problem. They're not so much worried about can you actually solve it in 30 minutes or not. So I think that's... Oh, one last thing. Boot camps in Japan. So yeah, actually, when I got my job offer, I was about to join a boot camp because I wanted I felt like the thing that was like, I felt like the gap that I had was not working on a team. Like, I wanted the experience of working on a team to build some projects and having someone who's way ahead of us, like, giving us tasks to do. And my idea was if you join a boot camp, like a legit boot camp, it will mimic the real working environment of a developer. That was my idea. So actually, in the same week that I got my job offer, I had all the paperwork done and was about to make my deposit to join this boot camp. Obviously, I didn't join because I got my job offer, and why would I pay thousands of dollars if I can learn on the job and get paid money instead of paying money? Right. So, but I started thinking about this could be a good option because they do it online. I mean, you can do it in Tokyo in person, or you can do it online. And with the exchange rate right now, I already checked the price, but wait, do they have the price on here? Yes, they do have the price. So it's 890,000 Japanese yen, and if you put that into US dollars right now, it's actually pretty cheap. It's a little under $6,000.
Wow.
So, and it's a legit boot camp. It's not like a, I did a lot of research into it. I did all my paperwork and was ready to go. So that's one option. If people are thinking about getting into a boot camp, you could do this for pretty cheap if you do it. You could do it online part-time. It takes like 6 months. Or you could even go to Japan. If you're a U.S. citizen, you can stay in Japan for 3 months without any special visa. So they have the boot camp in person structured so you could go and do the boot camp within your 3-month tourist visa and then go back home. So that's a cheap option for a boot camp if you want to try doing that. And I put this on here. They have this fourth industrial revolution where the Japanese government will actually reimburse you for a lot of the money you paid. So if you were to actually move to Japan and live there, I don't know if it's 2 years or 3 years, I forget, but you would be able to take advantage of this program where when you graduate any boot camp, like certified boot camp like this, you'll get, I think 40% of your tuition back when you graduate. And then if you get a job in the tech industry within a year after graduation, they'll give you another like 20 or 25%. So
Wow.
yeah, that is a huge thing. So that's for any people who are like trying to come over here to teach English, or for any reason to try to like live here for a while, I recommend this. They move over here, work as like an English teacher or something for 2 or 3 years, and then you can have the government pay for your boot camp basically. Okay, so I think that's it for me. If you want to connect with me, I've I've got all of the social medias. You can do the formerly Twitter. You can do Instagram, LinkedIn. You can check out my Shopify store that I'm still running on the side, but don't put a lot of effort into anymore. But I'm still selling stuff. My portfolio website, and yeah, YouTube channel. I'm making some YouTube videos. So yeah, if anyone, feel free to contact me anytime if you just want to talk about anything. I definitely want to give back to the community. I know I'm still just starting on my journey, but I think I can help out anyone who is behind me in the journey, definitely, and I'm willing to help anytime. So now, if anyone has any questions, we can get into some questions.
Yeah, that's what mine.
So yeah, I don't know, first time attendant. So what I was wanting to wonder about was like, I know you're in web dev, but are there any like fields that are easier in your opinion to get into in Japan than web dev, or like data science slash ML slash I don't know, back end development?
Yeah, one of my friends who was also an English teacher, he got into cybersecurity. But really, just anything in the tech industry is gonna be like super understaffed. So basically, whatever you want to do in the tech industry, um, it's really helpful to have Japanese language skills. If you don't have the language skills, then you're gonna have to, have some pretty good tech skills and find a company that's willing to, well, find a company that has their IT department in English, which isn't too hard to do.
今は少し足りないそうでも yeah. Thank you.
Ah, you got it. Yeah, you can. If you can speak a little bit, yeah, you're good to go. Awesome.
So, within your current job, how's the compensation?
Ah, yes, that is a big question, and people freak out a little bit. I know you Americans over there, fellow Americans, thinking about Google salaries and whatnot. Yeah, people freak out about it. So, yeah, I don't know what it is translating into US dollars, but we can just say well, my total comp is about 3.5 million Japanese yen a year. And historically, that would be around like 32 to 35,000 US dollars. Right now, with the exchange rate, that's going to look pretty bad. But, I'm not taking my Japanese yen and converting it into US dollars and buying stuff in the USA. I'm living here in Japan, so my purchasing power still feels good. But yeah, so 3.5 million yen a year, you can think about that, 30,000, a little over 30,000 US dollars. That sounds really low, but that's actually a decent salary over here. Like, people consider that a decent start out salary. And to take it into perspective, the house that I'm in, I'm renting a 2-story house for a family of 4. And if you convert my rent that I'm paying into US dollars, it's like 300 and something dollars a month for my 2-story house. It's a small house. It's not a huge house, and there's no crime. So think about paying $400 a month in the USA in a place that has no crime. So if you think about that, my $30,000 a year, entry level salary isn't too bad in my opinion.
Hey Zach, thanks for sharing your story with us. It has a lot of particular interest to me because my fiance lives in Niigata, and so I'm like racing to learn as much Japanese as I can quickly. What's your recommendation in terms of the JLPT level that you need before you can start to look into tech roles? And more specifically for me, I kind of niched into like no code web development. but with an SEO and digital marketing background. A tenured career in that. Thanks.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So actually, I just saw an advertisement on Facebook the other day. I'll have to share the link for the company. It's called Dai Job, kind of like a play on Dai Job. Like it's kind of a play on words, like the Japanese word Dai Jobu, but they turned it into Dai Job. And yeah, they're advertising N3, and that's kind of the level I hear from my other foreigner friends. Yeah, if you have the tech skills, then N3, the JLPT N3 is good enough to get into well, they say it's good enough to get into a Japanese speaking company. Like they will accept you into the company with that level of Japanese.
That's great insight. I thought it was too. So that's really good to know.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's like bare minimum. You'll have more like the higher your Japanese skill level is, the more opportunities you'll have. But yeah, that bare minimum is N3 for engineers, for developers. And about the no code or low code type thing, I actually had someone offering me, like after I started this job, I had someone through LinkedIn offering me a Shopify job that's mostly no code, just Shopify development. And I mean, I'm not gonna job hop around. Like I'm gonna stay at this company for a while because it's a really cool company. And but yeah, those opportunities are there if you have some experience in some kind of CMS like WordPress or Shopify, especially WordPress. Like Japan is huge on WordPress. Like everyone is using WordPress and stuff like PHP, Java, like those kind of things are still in huge demand over here in Japan.
I'm trying to explain people in Houston that WordPress is good, WordPress is huge, so they don't believe me. So
Because PHP was horrible then.
no, come on.
Yeah.
See, for 28 years, PHP is dead. So PHP is much better right now than let's say Python, C, car.
I would think PHP yeah.
Well, especially C.
ASP.NET, right? Oh yeah.
Yeah, WordPress is huge in Japan. Like if you're really good at WordPress, you could just work full time as a freelancer on WordPress.
That's great. Actually, that's a really good idea for me. So thank you.
Yeah, WordPress has a big community in Japan. They have good meetups. They have a good WordCamps.
Yeah.
And I know people from. I met them in Europe first, and now I met them in a WordCamp US. So they have great community. They have special things. For example, WordPress was translated other than English. Its first language was Japanese.
Yeah.
So it's something you have to know.
Yeah, definitely.
Ask people there.
Yeah, it's a huge thing over in Japan, and you can even see my company's website. We're in the process of making a new website using like React and stuff in Next.js, but you can see here even our company's website is powered by WordPress as of right now.
Yeah, and it's 21.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you have any experience with equity as part of your compensation, or is that an aspect you haven't considered yet?
Not at my current job, but recently I have had one of my college friends contact me about that. You know, so one of my college friends came to me with an app idea, and you know, if it's interesting to you, like if the idea is really cool and you would be excited to work on it, then yeah, definitely if you have the time. So yeah, for me, I'm gonna start working just in my spare time on this app idea that my friend has. I'm not gonna get paid anything. Maybe I'll never get anything out of it if it doesn't actually turn into a company. But yeah, I'm actually just starting that from last week. So
Hey Zach, could you flash back to the contact information page?
oh
I missed that. Yeah,
this
might
one.
reach out.
Yeah,
Thanks, Zach.
yeah, you guys
Yeah.
can connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or even Facebook if you guys use Facebook, whatever you want to use.
Oh, this is very
Zach, another one question. I have very shy a friend, but he's he's trying to know. He wants to know what is the work culture in Japan? Is it? How do you have to work very hard, or you can like watch movies on your job? I was joking. No. What is like working in Japan?
Ah, yes, that's a very good question because it depends on if your company expects you to work like a Japanese person or if they kind of just be like, ah, he's a foreigner, so we don't expect him to be like us. So, yeah, the traditional Japanese companies they're hard. People work a lot of overtime, a lot of unpaid overtime. Not at my company. I'm never gonna work at a company like that again. But yeah, at the standard Japanese company, people are working a lot of overtime, unpaid, super stressed out, low salaries. It's traditionally not the best working environment, but I mean, some companies are changing. Like the company that I'm working for, the CEO and owner, he's always just bad mouthing the Japanese companies. Like he doesn't want to be like a Japanese company because he worked as a developer for a really strict Japanese company and he hated his life. So his goal with the company that I'm at now is to create like just a nice environment for engineers to work at. So if you can find a cool company, it's good. Or maybe you can find like a foreign company that has their branch office in Japan. But I can tell you, all of those companies in that, like Japan Dev and Tokyo Dev, these kind of companies are not going to be your traditional Japanese companies. These are going to be the ones that are allowing you to apply from overseas, don't require Japanese. They want to make the environment comfortable for the developers. So yeah.
So Chandan, you might go to Japan.
Okay, I think I'll touch about it a little bit. Okay, so a couple more questions. So, what do you? How did you start on studying for programming, and how do you recommend people to use Free Code Camp to study, get started on programming in general?
Yeah. So Free Code Camp is awesome. I love it. You know what? Let me just open up the actual. Okay. Yeah, Free Code Camp. If you go to their curriculum, these are courses. So this responsive web design, that's HTML, CSS. This is just all JavaScript, and then this gets into like React and some other things. If you could do these three, I think that's enough to have the skills you need to get a job. One of these courses they say is going to take about 300 hours of study time. And if you actually look at it, like, so like there's a bunch of these different modules, and then each one has, a bunch of lessons. To actually get through the lessons is not going to take 300 hours. Like, I think I finished the actual lessons in about a month for this HTML CSS course, but what takes a long time is building the projects. So if you build the projects properly and actually like take the time to let everything kind of soak in, yeah, it'll take you about 300 hours to finish this. And I think one of my mistakes is I rushed through it. So it's not going to help you to just, you know, go through these as fast as possible just to get the check marks. You really want to understand what you're doing. And then a lot of people I talk to, they kind of like let's say they finish this course in HTML and CSS, but then they feel like they still don't really know how to use it. So at that point, you would want to not redo this same curriculum, but go find a different website and do their HTML and CSS course, because that's what I did. I did HTML CSS courses probably through like at least three, maybe four different websites until I finally just like got it all like memorized and just really ingrained into my brain about how to do all the styling and stuff.
And you get a certificate at the end when you complete the course.
Yeah, you do. That was one thing where you get the certificate. I don't know.
Probably LinkedIn that, right?
Oh, I'm not signed in. Yeah, I don't know if it really matters, but it made me feel good when I got the certificate. And I mean, I put them on my resume. I don't know if anyone really cares about that or not, but yeah, you get these certificates, and I printed them out. I printed them out and put them on my wall to like make me feel like I accomplished something.
No, that is good. Free Code Camp lessons and examples are good. We did it in the beginning, to JavaScript coding, and tried a little bit HTML and CSS, like more complicated stuff. If you like it, we can repeat it. But I have coding with twist. You will see maybe in September. We will start. Yeah.
Coding with twist?
Yes, coding with twist. You will see what it is. It's a little secret.
That sounds cool.
Okay, I'll tell you. Coding with ChatGPT. Yes, we had last few meetups coding with ChatGPT. It was very interesting.
And actually, it's kind of useful for these like chatbot tools like ChatGPT and there was no GitHub Copilot. They can really help you. I mean, not just improve your code quality, but also like help you go through your code and give you task coverage, give you suggestions as well. Yeah, and if you have anything like really specific and technical, it can help you get through that too.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
I use ChatGPT basically every day for small little tasks.
Yeah, that's great.
So your project consists in web pages, develop web pages, or have you had any other project, or what is a good project to start with?
Yeah, I mean, I've done basic web pages, any kind of, it depends if you're going to try to get into doing back-end stuff or not, but, well, one thing that I had on my portfolio was my Shopify store, so I would just say anything that's going to be, like, live on the internet with real users. That looks very impressive on your portfolio if you have something that is actually getting real traffic. Like my Shopify store has real customers and I'm selling stuff on it. Like I said, I build the homepage for the local business. If you can do that, find maybe even one of your friends. If one of your friends needs a homepage for something, anything like that.
Right, you have to pay. Once you have built the web page, you have to pay to put it on the web, right?
That
It's
depends.
normal thing.
Yeah, not necessarily. It depends on how much traffic there's gonna be. So, yeah, the web page that I built for the local business. Okay, yeah, you have to pay to get the domain name. So like, maybe you'll have to pay $20 or $30 to get the domain name, but I hosted it onto the web with Netlify, and you can do that for free if you stay under a certain like traffic limit.
Oh, I see. It depends on the traffic.
Yeah. So yeah, there are lots of options for getting websites up for free. If you don't want a custom domain name, like if it's just gonna be kind of like a project, then you can do it all for free with GitHub pages.
Waves.
See, weeks, but that's not the idea, not the use.
No,
Yeah.
name cheap for $50 a year. Right. So it's enough. I have a lot of my websites on Namecheap.
Thank you, Zachary, for sharing your story. Very inspiring. Start.
Sweet Zach, guys. Adam, I just got one question just to bring it back to the low code and the WordPress topic. Is there any, I guess, people using tools like Webflow or Framer out there in Japan? And I know you mentioned Netlify, but are there more static site generators? Dynamic site generators kind of being used out there as well, kind of like 11D and things like that?
I haven't seen a lot. Like some of my friends are using Webflow, but they're not in Japan. Really, I think for most Japanese people, the go-to thing is WordPress. Like everybody loves WordPress.
Gotcha. Thanks.
My question is like the visa issues. Are there like any issues like regarding like the sponsorships? Because obviously for more than 3 months, I think you would need a sponsor, right?
Yeah. If you're gonna stay here for more than 3 months, then you've got to get some kind of visa. A lot of like those companies that I showed you on that Japan Dev website, a lot of those companies are willing to sponsor your visa, and it's actually easy for companies to sponsor your visa. It doesn't cost them any money, it just costs them a little bit of time to help you prepare the paperwork. So if a company wants to hire you, it's pretty easy for them to do it. Compared to the USA. In the USA, it's very hard to bring foreigners over and get them the work visa and all that, but it's not so hard in Japan. Again, if people want to work in Japan, the easiest thing to do is teach English. Like it's so easy to get a job. Like so many companies are hiring. They'll bring you over, sponsor your visa, and I know I have friends personally who they had a whole tech career or like they majored in engineering, but it's just so much easier just to get over here as an English teacher. So like they teach English for a year or two until they find a job doing their actual profession.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I guess everybody is done with the questions. Any more?
Yeah, more questions.
Anyways, thank you, Zachary, for your presentation.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.